Hi guys, welcome back. Just having tea and biscuits in Robbo's Corner Sunday afternoon. Can't beat it. So, what we up to? Right. I just love tea and biscuits in the afternoon, it's great. But yeah, what's going on? This weekend should have been the weekend I was putting the GPX TSE 300 back together. You saw in the last video from last weekend, engine stripped down to the gearbox virtually. That's it. Took the engine up to Eurotech. We split the gearbox open, inspected the gears. All the gears are okay, but the selector forks are worn. The engine being what it is, essentially a KTM bottom end, casings and everything identical. We were hoping that the KTM fork selectors would fit. So we got 3 ordered early in the week. They came Friday morning and they won't fit. The reason they wouldn't fit is that the hole in the selector fork is a different size to the GPX one. If anybody's in the same sort of predicament where they need selector forks for their GPX TSE 300 later on when they've got some hours on it, you know now that KTM parts will not fit. It's got to be GPX parts. So I've spoken to James at GPX and he's got things in hand for me to get me some selector forks, which I would think might be a couple of weeks' time. With everything else what's going on and what's coming up, the TSE 300 has been put onto one side for the moment. I would think it's now going to be November, mid-November before I even get around to looking at it, because we've got Sea to Sky coming in a few weeks now. I'm then going to Enduro GP in Germany, and then obviously I've got Madron as well. Don't forget Madron. So yeah, so the TSE 300 is shelved for the moment until the parts come. So it could be a couple of weeks, whichever, but I would think they'll be here by the time I do come back from Sea to Sky. So that's sidelined for the moment. The FSE 250 is ready to go. Hopefully going to be riding that next weekend in the Lake District again. And we need to be concentrating on this thing, really getting this ready for Madron. Chain, sprockets, clutch, tyres and mousses, and a fuel filter. And I think that's pretty good to go on, and maybe some brake pads. Might even do wheel bearings as well, because they've not been done for quite some time. So that's the sort of preparation work we need to be doing on the 450. And also it's car MOT time again, so I've been working on the car all day yesterday. I've got a bin in there full of brake discs and wheel bearings and God knows what else. So yeah, it's been a busy weekend. But the purpose of this video is also to talk about, again, question time. I always get questions from people and it's nice to reflect on those questions, so I'm just going to go through a question, and it's a conversation through Instagram that I've had with somebody. They took the time out to ask me a question, and I engaged with them, and they've had a really good result from this. So I'll just get my glasses on, and most importantly we'll have a slurp of tea as well. You've got to keep the old throat moist. So, the question was, and I'll put it on the screen now. I'm looking at getting an EXE or FE 4-stroke, but I've been told all sorts of stories about engine life. What's your take on the single cam 450 motor versus the 250 motor? What kind of hours on a motor is acceptable? He then says, you definitely won't remember, but we met a bunch of years ago at Excel. So what I'll do now is read through my response to him, and then we'll talk about the ins and outs afterwards. So, but hi bud, anything 4-stroke EXE FE from 2017 onwards is good, providing the maintenance has been done. Oil changes regularly. Lack of this would have a detrimental effect, as you would expect. 2017 to 2019 oil pump gears should be changed to metal ones, that's 250s and 350s. I would also say do it on the bikes up to 2023 to be on the safe side. 450 and 500 single cam engines have never been affected by the plastic gear warping problem from discussions that I've had about this the other day. I've seen a 2020 EXE 350 with 700 hours on. Guy's now asking for a quote on a rebuild to be on the safe side, but the bike runs well. That's a measure of what they can do, and he's the only person who's owned the bike and has done the oil every 15 hours. I've just done a top end in a 500 2020 this week. First piston at 380 hours. Even the shims were in tolerance. Again, that is one owner bike from new. If you're looking to buy in second hand, I'd be very picky and something with low hours and can be confirmed with being plugged in at a dealer. A dealer can confirm the engine hours and type of riding with a percentage of time in certain rev ranges. A new or low hour bike is the way to go, say no more than 100 hours. Higher hour bikes generally have been passed through many hands and not kept up to scratch. So you've got the gist of the conversation there. Oil pump gears from the 2017, I would say right up to 2023, you know, the latest. Make sure the metal, make sure they're being changed. My understanding from what I know and what I've seen is that the 450 and the 500s have never been affected. It's just the 250s and 350s. So you need metal oil gears in there to prevent oil starvation to the cylinder heads. So if you are going to buy one of those bikes, 250, 350, ask the question, has that been done? If it's not being done, then it needs doing. The next thing is really condition. When you're looking at a second-hand bike for condition, be prepared to walk away from stuff. When I'm looking at a second-hand bike myself, I'm looking at the condition. I'm looking at how clean it is. I'm looking at damage. Is there any damage around the bottom of the fork legs, on the forks, on the chrome, the wheels? Has it got original wheels? Has it got original plastics? Has it got original radiators? I like a bike to be standard as possible, not to have been messed about with. I don't like bling, for one. Has it got the original levers on, original throttle cables, original throttle housing? What's been changed? What's been messed around with? What's the wiring like around the headstock? Has it got the original exhaust pipe on it? Is there dents on the exhaust pipe? You know, the calipers, the suspension, has it got the standard suspension or has it been upgraded? I don't mind upgrades on suspension because it can save you money in the long run. If it's got K-Tech, ORVS upgrades on or some other. But the main thing is damage, and it's got to be clean. No damage, and it's got to be clean. So I would always say to somebody, if you're looking at a second-hand bike, get something with low hours, and it's got to be clean, it's got to be mint. And if you've got any concerns about checking the hours out, ask them to take it to a dealer to be checked and get some sort of certificate, a letter from that dealer to say that they've checked the hours on the bike and confirmed those hours against that chassis number. So it can be done. Don't be scared to ask. At the end of the day, if somebody's selling a bike, it's only worth what they're asking to the person who's selling it. You've got to think about, do I have to do any work on this thing? Yeah. And if it's a dog, like I said, be prepared to walk away. But sometimes you can come across a bit of a dog and you can see through it, and it might take maybe 300 or 400 quid to make it look presentable and good. Be prepared to barter and knock people down on price and outline the issues with the bike as to why you think it's only, you know, worth so much. I could talk for hours about second-hand bikes, but that's for another day. But the upshot with this story is that the guy who contacted me then started looking around, and he went to look at a 2019 EXCF 250 in very good condition, 95 hours on the clock, and he's bought it. How much has he bought it for? 3,800 quid. So for £3,800, a 2019 250F, under 100 hours, no damage, just needs the oil pump gear. So at the end of the day, I'll have £4,000 in it. So all things considered, I think the price was right for the condition and the number of hours that the bike had done. When you look around on the second-hand market, there is such a variation on price and condition. It's crazy. So you've really got to, like I said, be picky. Be prepared to walk away. You're not only assessing the bike, but you're also assessing the person that you're buying the bike off as well. You know, what sort of vibes you're getting from the person who's selling it. Is it somebody who's looked after the bike, or is it somebody who's rough and ready? You've really got to make your own call on that, haven't you? If you're not happy with it, you're not happy with the person you're dealing with, just walk away. The last thing you want to be doing is buying somebody else's problems that they've created and they don't want to sort out, and it's going to cost you money in the long run. So really be picky on buying a second-hand bike. It's got to be right 100%, and you've got to be happy with it. So there we are, Sunday afternoon, tea and biscuits in the workshop, Robbo's Corner. Hopefully back riding next weekend. So see you soon, guys. Take care for now.